Now, not too long ago, the possible Saudi Arabian Grand Prix circuit, emphasis on possible, was leaked online, and apart from it looking absolutely terrible, I mean it looks closer to a karting track than it does Formula 1, it also looks unusually long in my opinion. So that's why in this video I want to take a trip to some of the longest circuits I could find in the history of motorsport, including some still used in motorsport today. And by circuits I mean a racetrack or a street circuit. Anything goes as long as the start joins up to the end, unlike something like the Mille Miglia. And pause it right there, only while editing this video I realised the Mille Miglia technically is a circuit, but I was just a bit of an idiot and forgot to look it up, so about that. And it has to be a completely definite track, unlike something like the Dakar Rally. But before I get onto it, I kind of want to establish a bit of a sense of scale by talking about the complete other end of the coin, the shortest circuits to ever be used in motorsport. And from what I can currently see just from my research, Martinsville Speedway seems to be the shortest track currently used in modern day motorsport, clocking in at just half a mile long, so needless to say this little oval in Virginia is absolutely tiny. And secondly, the Circuit de Monaco, of course, everyone already knows it's the shortest track currently used in Formula 1, clocking in at roughly 2 miles long, which is why I'm using this as an example, because it acts as a bit of a nice unit of measurement for some of these longer tracks later on in the video. So let's start out quite tame with the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Of course, everyone already knows Spa at 4.4 miles long. It is the longest circuit currently used in Formula 1, rolling through the Belgian countryside. It is as famous as it gets. So I'm not sure what I can really say about it. As I said, I'm keeping it tame for these first couple before we get onto some of the really ridiculous stuff, to put it lightly. And next we have the Circuit de la Sarthe, of course host of the 24 Hours of Le Mans at 8.5 miles long. Needs no introduction, one of the most famous circuits to ever exist, been hosting the 24 Hours since 1923, and in its current state it's over quadruple the length of Monaco. It's Le Mans, we all know it, we all love it, moving on. Moving on, and this time we're back at Spa once again, but this time with its 1921 to 1938 version at 9.3 miles long. It's double the size of current Spa, and I'm sure a lot of people have probably seen vintage Spa before from games like Project Cars 2, which has a fantastic rendition of classic Spa, although this version is slightly longer with a much more sharper complex at Eau Rouge and also at Stavelot. But regardless, if you thought modern day Spa was long, vintage Spa is on a whole nother level. Next, moving on once again, and we talk about Arvus, clocking in at 12 miles long, specifically the layout of Arvus from 1921, back before the Wall of Death existed, and it was just two ridiculously long straights on an autobahn, looped together by two hairpins, with the straights themselves being comparable to about 3 Monacos each, so pretty long to say the least, and I can't even begin to imagine having a brake failure into one of those corners. And now we come onto the one you probably all expected to be in this video, the Nürburgring Nordschleife combined circuit. Stitch together the GP circuit with the Nordschleife and you get a ridiculously long 15.8 mile long circuit, winding through the Eiffel Mountains in Germany, resulting in the longest permanent racetrack still in use today, so from here on out it will only be street circuits for obvious reasons. And now we take only a tiny jump of 0.2 miles longer at 16 miles, we have the longest circuit ever used in Formula 1, Pescara, and I made a video about this not too long ago, but to make it brief, Pescara is like the Nordschleife of Italy. Winding roads through the Italian countryside, stringed together by two ridiculously long straights through cities along the coastline. It was all kinds of ridiculous. And now we move away from the world of Formula 1 towards touring cars, sports cars and motorcycle racing, starting with Brno as it was from 1930 to 1948, 18.1 miles long around the city of Brno in then Czechoslovakia, quite similar to classic Spa in appearance, although being much more tight and winding, unrecognisable to the Brno circuit of today. And now we get onto the really ridiculous ones, of which this one is probably the most well known of the bunch. It is of course the Snaefell mountain course as part of the Isle of Man TT at 37.7 miles long. comprised of stretching narrow country roads through the hills of the Isle of Man, with pretty much nothing to soften an impact other than a tree, a building, or an unlucky spectator on the side of the track. It's weirdly shocking the Isle of Man TT still exists today under the FIA's huge safety standard. Well, here we are now with a former staple circuit of the World Sports Car Championship, the Targa Florio with the Piccolo circuit, clocking in at 44.7 miles long, so about 22 Monaco's worth of driving through closed off streets on the island of Sicily. Absolutely ridiculously long, last time used in 1977, before the Targa Florio was canned for good. And the funny thing is, this is the shortest circuit of the Targa Florio. We'll get onto the other ones a bit later. But now we come back to Le Mans once again, and not the slightly longer version of Le Mans used for the 24 Hours of Le Mans in the early days. It in fact bizarrely doesn't have anything to do with the 24 Hours of Le Mans, it just so happens to be located around the same city. It is the Le Mans circuit from all the way back in 1906 for the French Grand Prix at 64.1 miles long. That is around 32 laps of Monaco before you've just finished a single lap of 1906 Le Mans, which is only the slightest bit ridiculous, and back then, with the limitations of technology at the time, the fastest lap of the race was actually a daunting 52 minutes long, which kinda speaks for itself. And now we come back to the Targa Florio. In fact, the remaining four were all circuits used in the Targa Florio. This time not the Piccolo circuit, but the Media circuit at 67.1 miles long. More of the same really when it comes to the Targa Florio. All of the circuits used in the event were just closed off, winding roads through Sicily, making for one hell of a ridiculously long roller coaster. And then once again we have the Targa Florio Grande circuit at 90.7 miles long, or roughly 45 Monacos, a huge extension on the Targa Florio circuit so far, and also the first layout ever used of the Targa Florio, taking 9.5 hours to complete just 3 laps of the course back in 1906. And I know I already said earlier on that we'd gotten onto the ridiculous stuff, but now I really mean it, we have gotten onto the ridiculous stuff. I mean, the last one was 90 miles long, but now we get onto the Targa Florio Island Tour, starting with the short variant, which was a somewhat psychopathic 608 miles long. A complete tour around the island of Sicily, taking only 1 lap to complete the event for obvious reasons, and also resulting in the longest race ever held as part of the Targa Florio, the 1912 event, at 24.5 hours long in totality. And then finally, last but not obviously least, we come on to the slightly longer Island Tour long layout at 671 miles long. And it's at this point where it becomes pretty difficult to comprehend a circuit of that length, so let's give some comparisons. 1 lap of this circuit will be equivalent to around 335 laps of Monaco, or 152 laps of Spa, or 42 laps of the Nürburgring combined circuit, or 17 laps of the Isle of Man Snaefell course, or 7 laps of old Le Mans in 1906. That is a ridiculous length, and as far as I know, the longest defined circuit we've ever seen in motorsport, and because the drivers aren't suicidal, I'm sure we will never see a circuit even a fraction of this length, for good reason. But anyway, that's it for this little video, talking about some of the longest circuits to ever be used in the history of motorsport, both past and present. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, comment, share, and I'll be back in the next video. See ya!